Sara and Nathan from Refugees at Home. Access to accommodation is also a human rights issue, and this is particularly very much the case for refugees and asylum seekers. Sara is a broadcast journalist by background, and she has served in many public authorities before. She became the co-founder of the Refugees at Home charity. Refugees at Home finds hosts in Britain for destitute asylum seekers and refugees. She has since hosted refugees from many countries, including Syria, Sudan, Ethiopia, Iran, Afghanistan, and Egypt. Refugees at Home made over 1,700 placements. Sara, how does the right to a home relate to the work you are doing at Refugees at Home?
Well, we're not giving people permanent home. What we're doing is trying to help them over the bumps in the road when they are asylum seekers or when they're new refugees, and finding somewhere to live if you are destitute and you've just had your asylum claim refused and you're not allowed to work, can't claim benefits. It's really hard, and you can't concentrate on anything else if you have nowhere to sleep. So people who are street homeless, people who are sofa surfing and vulnerable, people who are staying with friends who are getting increasingly less hospitable, they all need somewhere where they can draw breath, turn around, sort themselves out. Even more so for refugees maybe, who, when not in a pandemic, when they get refugee status, like your first speaker, so 28 days, if she had been in Home Office accommodation, 28 days later, they would have been told they have to leave that accommodation, but they may not qualify for benefits yet, they may not have bank accounts, certainly nowhere to live, and it's really difficult for you to sort yourselves out and get on with life in Britain if you don't know where you're sleeping that night. So what we do is place people, sometimes for shorter time, sometimes for longer, in the spare rooms of people who've got spare rooms in cities, mostly London, Cardiff, Manchester, Birmingham, other places too, a little bit in Scotland and occasionally in Belfast, but the Northern Irish government is rather less mean than the English ones, so not so often there, so that people can sort themselves out. So for instance, I've had people staying for 2 or 3 nights, but I've also got a current guest who's been with me for 18 months. It can be for any length of time between about those 2 extremes. And just to correct something slightly, we've helped nearly 2,500 people so far, and we've hosted for 176,000 person nights in the 5 years we've been going.
That's lovely. Thank you so much. And I have a question for you also. How's your work helping young refugees integrate into the society?
Well, I think a huge amount in that. Most of our guests are aged between 18 and 25. 70% of them are men. They can be really isolated. If you're living in somebody's household, you're learning about the British ways of doing things. You might be going to a football match with them. You might be having Christmas lunch with them and finding out that for some bizarre reason, British people set fire to their Christmas pudding. I mean, why would you know that? You probably wouldn't. You integrate because you live with people, you speak their language, you appreciate their religion. I'm Jewish, I mostly host Muslims. It's great, nobody brings pork into the house. There are Church of England people hosting Muslims or all sorts of actually atheists, Hindus, everybody. We never ask about religion, but it's all part of integration. We've got people who've never met somebody or have never heard about a particular culture before. I've just had somebody staying with me from Baluchistan. I didn't know there was a problem in Baluchistan. My goodness, I do now. He talked about it all the time. I'm good on the problems of Baluchistan now, but he knows about the fortunes of Arsenal, and he knows about 5 Live, and he knows about reading The Guardian, and he knows that if you put too much chili in food for English people, they explode. It's very tricky. That integration is what it's all about. Essentially, England. Actually, I learned about the British system because it's different things than I've ever had to do before, but they learn all sorts of things and mix with the neighbours and see the relatives and have somebody who's going to get crossed on their behalf if people are racist over the phone, which does unfortunately happen. And people remain friends for years, you know, invite each other to their weddings, stand sponsors to their children, have them back for for Christmas lunch. It's a very, very ongoing relationship for a lot of people. I'm still in touch with at least a dozen of the people who stayed with me, and some of them were only with me for a couple of nights.
That's absolutely lovely, Sarah. Thank you so much for all the work that you've done so far. And